With the global economy in doldrums, companies across the world are either laying off people or slowing down hiring. Tech giants have already announced their plans to hit brakes on hiring. Back home, unemployment has surged, but it seems India Inc. intends to continue hiring at this point of time. To talk more about this, Rituparna Chakraborty joining us from TeamLease. Rituparna, let me get a take from you on the current situation and really where India stands in terms of the trend. We've been seeing all these headlines from the US and from some very large companies, of course, but what's happening back home?
So I guess it's important for us to all calm down and take a long view of the situation. Yes, there are a lot of disturbing news and headwinds that we are hearing about what's happening in the US, the decision of the Fed, the war, and so on and so forth. But I can confidently tell you that there is definitely a steady improvement in hiring outlook.
Okay.
There is optimism. To say whether people are going berserk in terms of hiring the way maybe the nostalgia of the past before COVID, I don't think that's essentially that kind of comparison is needed.
Yeah.
But in our latest employment outlook report, it clearly talks about the fact that in the last 7 quarters, this is probably the best outlook that we have seen. And there is no reason for us to actually believe that the outlook is going to change in the next 3 months for sure. Also, I have to remind you that I know there is a lot of talk which happens around technology, but to be honest, this outlook is spread across multiple sectors. So it's not just technology led. I know technology makes it into the news, everybody's attention's in technology, but I think there is a steady improvement in outlook across beyond technology, whether it's in the education services sector, e-commerce has remained steady, healthcare and pharma has remained steady,
Okay.
telecom, the entire lot. I can run down the list: retail, FMCG, KPO, financial services. So there is definitely a positive momentum, and hence it would be too premature for us to kind of declare that there is going to be this doom and gloom, scenario coming up. No, I don't think that's likely to happen. And I think one of the steady indicators of that is attrition. Attrition actually is a great indicator for us to know what's going on in the economy. When attrition goes up, it's an implicit indicator of course, the hiring outlook improving. But side by side, it's also, of course, is an indication of demand exceeding supply and the availability of skill set. Now, coming to the most talked about topic, technology. Technology, even if, our recent study shows that the attrition level is almost 23%. So even if organizations are hiring to just replenish their attrition, there is a steady state hiring that is required to kind of just forget about the new roles and job roles, just to replenish the attrition. So I guess I guess it's of course what will happen in the long run in 6 months if something absolutely unpredictable happens. One can't say much, but I think it's too premature for us to declare that there is a hiring dip or there is going to be a negative outlook. We should be watchful. I think if something COVID has taught us is to be careful, to be watchful, to not go, to the extreme level of hiring, which is beyond our control. All of that, we all know. Those lessons are there. But I don't think there is doom and gloom yet on the hiring outlook.
So what about these burgeoning unemployment numbers then, Rituparna? How does one explain that? Because as you mentioned, you're seeing growth across sectors. It's not specific to one pocket of the economy, and yet the numbers are rising.
So if the question is, do India have enough jobs for the million kids who join the workforce every month? The answer is an obvious no. I don't think India has ever achieved that feat. However, are we improving in terms of the overall employment, especially formal employment, which I think is a much better indicator of dignified employment that we would aspire to give to the youth of the country. I think there are various indicators which are showing that there is an improvement. It's not sufficient. It's not enough. I think one of the indicators which we'd like to use for want of any other reliable data. Like people talk about employment becoming worse, employment becoming, they're survey led. There is actually no statistical evidence of what's happening with employment, which is obviously one of our areas of weakness in this country. But EPFO data, for example, there has been a steady improvement in the number of youth getting added into the entry level bracket, which is, I think, between especially between 18 to about 35, there has been a consistent improvement in the number of additions that are happening. So I know many people make an argument that these could be informal jobs getting rebadged as formal, but either ways, it's a positive outcome for the country. If informal jobs are getting converted to formal jobs, it's better outcome for the youth as well. So at this point of time, yes, unemployment is still a problem, but are we making incremental progress towards improving upon that? I would like to say yes. And given that we've been in this space of employment, we know what's the reality. We still have so many jobs where we are not able to find people. So the lens with which we see employment outlook has to be looked at from the perspective of availability of skill sets as well. So the issue is that there are many jobs in this country where we are not able to fill up because we don't have the right skill sets, even in technology.
All right, Rituparna, we'll leave it there. Thanks for chatting with us. Great getting a sense of the trends and what's really happening, the pulse of India Inc. right now and its growth trajectory.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.